I've given up my own face for science. I decided to undergo a fun beauty experiment to see what would happen if I taped my face for a month. Like, would there be permanent results? Does it actually work? And if you've never heard of face taping, this is basically like a Botox alternative. Instead of paying hundreds and thousands of dollars to inject your face with a toxin, you can apparently tape your face at night using these specialized tapes, which act as kind of like a splint, and it temporarily freezes your muscles and it retrains your muscles so that when you're awake, they don't move as much and you don't see the wrinkles as much, allegedly. So there's a lot of questions that I wanted to find the answers to. Are these effects noticeable, visible? Are they temporary? Are they cumulative? I'm 39, I have no Botox or filler. And as I'm aging, some things that I'm starting to notice is I've always had pretty deep forehead expression lines, but now I'm noticing that you can see the lines even when I'm not making an expression. So if the face taping could make a dent in that, or should I say a undent, I would be so happy, because that was the main reason I was getting Botox. I don't have quite as many fine lines around my eyes or crow's feet yet, so that wasn't a huge issue area, but I do have the deeper nasolabial folds. I have the big cheeks, gravity is kind of pulling them down. So I was curious if the face tape could help with that possibly. And then the biggest thing is I'm starting to get tech neck. I'm losing my neck elasticity and I'm getting these lines on my neck. So I wanted to try the face tape on all of the different wrinkles. Now, some things to discuss before we get into it. I will put the timestamps here if you want to just skip ahead, but I did just want to kind of talk about why I stopped using Botox, why I'm even bothering taping my face. First and foremost, cost. I was spending about $450 to $500 just for my forehead every like 3 months. And then what was happening is that Botox would not last as long because my body metabolizes it really fast. So it would only even last for a couple of months. But what really stopped me from continuing with Botox is this girl that I follow, Arielle Laura. She had been getting Botox for 10 years, no issues. She loved it. And she went into her normal injector. Somehow she injected in like a vein or the wrong spot, and she got Botox illness, which was quite serious and scary. And she told her whole story, and that scared me. So you never know, like things can go wrong. And again, this is not anti-Botox. Like you do whatever you want to do. There's no judgment. I'm just sharing and experimenting with alternatives. Now I'm going to take you on a journey as a naked mole rat tries all these different types of face tape. So let's do a rundown of all of the different face tapes that I tried, the pros, the cons, and the costs of each one. Starting with the OG Frownies. These have been around for a long time. And if you're a follower of mine, you may have seen that last year I put this on my worst products of the year list because the batch that I had smelled rancid. But a lot of you said that yours didn't smell that bad. So I decided to order a new box, and they don't smell bad. They don't smell great. They're not smelling like roses, but they're fine. They're neutral after they dry down. So I definitely had a bad batch before. So Frownies are unbleached craft paper with a vegetable adhesive. They have no other added ingredients, no toxins, non-comedogenic. These, out of all the options I tried, are the most stiff. So the idea is you want to create like a split. You want it to be pretty stiff, so to restrict the movement. With these, you have to wet them first. You could use a toner or water and then kind of apply them and wait for them to dry down for a minute or so to get stiff and set on your face. You do look a little funny while you wear them. I mean, you definitely can see them on your face. And then to break down the cost of these babies, you get 144 patches for $25. That breaks down to 17 cents per patch. Based on that, the cost per night, based on the patches that I used, is about 68 cents per day. The next thing I tried is silicone scar tape. We have our tape that is skin safe, and this also has hydrating ingredients. So the idea, or my thought here, was not only is this kind of freezing the muscle, but can add some plumpness, hydration, but these are quite a bit softer. So I wasn't sure if they would still give that split effect or freeze the muscle. That's what this experiment is for. I have used these in the past on my nasolabial folds, but I wanted to do more. These are $10 for 158 inches. And so if you use 3 inches at a time, that's 52 applications, about 20 cents per application. So quite a bit more cost effective. Then I saw these Maro patches that I wanted to add to our experiment, to our test. They are smoothing wrinkle patches that are infused with peptides, hyaluronic acid, and vitamin E. So not only do you get the face tape, but you get added skin enhancing benefits to ideally like plump up the skin. But what I love most about these is that they are completely clear. You cannot see them on your face. Like at a certain point, I forgot that I was even wearing them. These, you get 66 patches for $18. So that breaks down to 27 cents each. And on my face, the amount that I needed would be 54 cents a day. My concern about these is that they're not as stiff as the Frownies. So would they have that same splint effect? That is what I wanted to see in the experiment. But a huge pro about these is that they're much easier and faster to apply. You don't have to wet them. You could just stick them right on. And I found that they would stick even right after applying my skincare. With all of the other face taping methods, you do have to wait at least 15 minutes, but the longer the better after applying your skincare before sticking them on if you want them to stay. Then at one point in the experiment, I really lost the plot and I was like, what if I just use Scotch tape on my face? Like, is this all a gimmick? Can I just use regular tape? And then after doing it a couple nights and thinking about it, I was like, there's probably bad adhesive ingredients in this since it's not designed for your face and I should not be putting it on my face, but I did just try it for science. Then I also saw and tried these forehead wrinkle patches, reusable silicone patches. So these are the large silicone patches that you are supposed to be able to reuse indefinitely. It doesn't say how long. And these were $17 for 2 patches, which would be a great price if you could reuse them indefinitely. However, spoiler alert, I could not get these to stick on my face, my neck. I couldn't get them to stick anywhere because after my skincare, they just were sliding around. They would come off, get stuck in my hair at night. Like I could not get these to work to the point I threw them away. So these were a no. So now I will show you clips of myself doing the face tape for many, many nights. So I started my face taping journey by trying each type of face tape on its own, starting with the Frownies. And I was pretty happy with how this made my face look the next morning. You can see here, my nasolabial fold line is almost gone and it lasted for several hours throughout the day. So I was liking the Frownies. Then I moved on to trying the silicone scar tape and I had mixed feelings with the silicone scar tape. You can see here, the issue I had is that you can almost see the lines from the tape. Like it made my forehead look worse in some ways. See how it looked kind of wrinkled and you could see where the lines are from the tape. So I wasn't loving the silicone scar tape at first. It did do better at plumping up my nasolabial lines, but then you can see the lines from where the tape is. So I wasn't sure about that. Then I went on to trying that on my neck. And again, similar thing. I felt like it was plumping up the skin, but I was getting the lines from the tape. So in some ways it was looking better, some ways it was looking worse. You could see the lines there from where the tape was. So I was a little unsure about that. Then I moved on to the Maro patches. So you can see how clear these are, which I love because I don't look like a freak going to bed. And it did a good job of freezing both the static and the dynamic wrinkles. And I also tried it on my nasolabial folds. And look at this. I mean, it did a good job on my nasolabial fold. See that? The line is almost gone. So I was happy with this. I was liking this. And then I did this for a couple more days. So each of the individual tapes, I was trying for several days at a time on their own. I just want to get a sense for them. And you could see how good it did at smoothing my forehead. I was super happy with how those were looking. Then I started mixing and matching around my face to find the best combination. This day I had a self-tanning disaster, so try to ignore that. Wow, that is bad. But the silicone scar tape, I was putting that on my nasolabial folds on one side, the Maro patches on the other, and then the Maro patches on my forehead. I'm trying to figure out like what's the best placement for all these different types of tape. And I was starting to realize I do like the Maro patches on my forehead just because they smooth it really well and they don't look weird. I tried again the silicone scar tape on my nasolabial folds and you can see the line that it left behind. So really wanting the silicone scar tape to work, but for whatever reason, it's just creating more lines from the tape. So this kind of was losing favor. It's not loving the silicone scar tape the more I was trying it. Then I went back to the Frownies on my forehead. I put a big patch of the Frownies and you can see here, it does a good job. I would say similar to the Maro patches, but you kind of look like a freak going to bed with these big pieces of tape on your face. It didn't do as good of a job at freezing the dynamic wrinkles. Then I just really got creative here, and I was mixing and matching all the different types of face tape. The frownies on my forehead, you could just put like one big patch over the forehead and did a good job at freezing the wrinkles. But then I wanted to compare that again to the Maro patches. Which one did I like better? And I think after quite a bit of testing these, I just preferred the Maro patches, because the other thing about the frownies is that you have to wet them to apply them and to remove them. Otherwise, it kind of hurts. Then I decided to do a side-by-side test. Like, are the Maro patches as effective as the frownies because they're not quite as stiff? Do they do as good of a job? So this night I had the Maro patches on one half of my face and the frownies on the other half of my face. And again, another big difference here, the Maro patches you can't really see. So you don't look weird if you have a partner you're sleeping next to you. So the next morning I removed them and I wanted to see which one does a better job freezing my skin. And if you look, it actually looks like the Maro patches does a better job at freezing the dynamic wrinkles and the static wrinkles. Like, you can almost just slightly see the static wrinkle on the frowny side, but not on the Maro patch side. And look how smooth my forehead looks. Like, this is how my forehead looks when I have botox. So I was really shocked by how amazing these results are. Like, the more I was doing it, the more smooth, shiny, poreless my forehead was looking. And my dynamic wrinkles, when I'm trying to make an expression, were not as pronounced as before. It was definitely making a difference. Now that we've seen up close and personal, I will share with you my final result and what I've discovered from this experiment. So the first thing I'm going to say is, for me, yes, overall, face taping is worth it. It is something I'm going to continue to do. Apparently, the longer you do it, the more cumulative the effects are. And the winner, and what I will continue to use, is the Maro patches. I like that they're clear. They're so much easier to apply, just not having to wet them and wait for them to dry. I can just put them right on my skincare, and I can get away with just using 2 of these on my forehead, and it restricts the movement. And the craziest part is I do feel like my static wrinkles, when I'm not making an expression, it definitely makes a difference on. But I have noticed, and this is the crazy thing, that like my forehead, like my muscles are being retrained because it feels like stiff. I don't get as much movement, and it has that same feeling like if you've ever had botox where it feels like slightly paralyzed. So it's definitely doing something. And let's see, I was spending about $2,000 a year on botox, and if I use these daily, it would save me about $1,700 a year. So yes, for me, there's no risks with doing this. I did not have any irritation, breakouts. I have very sensitive skin. I love these. None of the taping methods are really great or that effective for the nasolabial fold. This is more so gravity pulling down on my face. So the tape isn't even giving much of a temporary effect. And another thing I will say, because I was concerned that these aren't as stiff as the frownies, so would they have the same effect? But you saw in that side-by-side comparison, they had the same freezing ability. Like when I did it side-by-side on one side and the other, it looked the same, but these are just more convenient, they're invisible. And I like that these have the added peptides, hyaluronic acid, and vitamin E. Like, I love these. I kind of wish I invented them. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, the last couple tips of what I'm doing at night to look better and more hydrated, refreshed in the morning, besides these. So once a week, do the biocollagen face mask that I always talk about. Like, this really helps get in there, hydrate your skin. It's a lot of times what you think are fine lines are actually just severely dehydrated skin. I find that this mask just does something to my skin, really helps. So I'm doing this once a week. And then these last 2 tips, you guys, oh my goodness, like, wow, wow, wow. So my mom shared this one in the video I did with her, putting all of your skincare you put on your face, also on the back of your hands, put some Vaseline or healing ointment, and then wear cotton gloves. My hands have never been like softer and more plump. Like, I kind of had chicken claw hands. And then I thought, what if I do that same concept to my neck? Once your neck goes, like, your hands and your neck are showing your age more than just about anything, right? So what I did, what I've been doing, and I think I invented this because I hadn't seen anyone else do it. So you put your skincare on your neck, like really slather all of your skincare on your neck. Then you're going to get a little neck scarf and put it on your neck. Sleep with that. This keeps the moisture locked in and it will slowly penetrate and hydrate. And this has made a bigger difference on my neck. I mean, it's actually shocking. So if your neck is an area of concern, just get one of these little 100% cotton neck scarves. Wear it at night. It's not too constricting. It doesn't hurt or bother me as I sleep, but it just helps keep that moisture locked in. Also do it with your hands, and game changing. So I will have everything that I used and talked about down in the description box. Also the first pinned comment. If you have watched this far in the video and you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe. I would love to have you here. I have some crazy beauty experiments coming soon, because this is just, I'm unlocking a new type of content here on my channel that I'm quite excited about. So if you have any ideas for future experiments you would like to see me do, leave them down in the comments. And with all of that said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.